Welcome to Mindfulness Lists. Chapters 17, 18, and 19 of The Untethered Soul are titled Contemplating Death, The Secret of the Middle Way, and The Loving Eyes of God. I chose not to do individual summaries of these chapters because they seem lacking of information. Something about it just didn't fry my chicken. So I'll just make a very brief summary on each of the chapters, and then I will summarize the entire book in a couple sentences. So in chapter 17, Contemplating Death, basically what he says is super simple. Live every day as it's your last. That's all I'm going to say about that. In chapter 18, which is titled The Secret of the Middle Way, he's speaking about Tao Te Ching, which is an incredible book. If you've never checked it out, look it up online. Just a great book. And what he talks about, I'll just give you my take on the Tao Te Ching. What it's about is it's about balance. He refers to it as the middle way, which I've heard people talk about the path of Buddhism as the middle way. Maybe they're synonymous. But he refers to it as the middle way, and he talks about it like a pendulum. And as we go to extremes in our life, we go one way and we do something and we get obsessed with it. And then the pendulum will swing the other way in order to correct that imbalance, which makes sense. But subsequently, the swinging of that pendulum keeps us moving in a side-to-side motion, going from one extreme to the next, rather than moving forward. And when we stay centered, we could move forward more easily. It makes sense if you kind of picture a pendulum, and if you were walking to the right, being extreme right, and then walking to the left, you'd kind of be going in a zigzagging type of pattern, rather than if you stay centered, you're not too much a saint and you're not too much a sinner, you'll go forward in a much more efficient way. So I thought that was a great chapter. Chapter 19, it seems to be a little bit religious. And I believe in freedom. So if that's Michael Singer's way, then bless him and bless anybody else. Whatever way helps you find peace is the way that you should use. And I'm not about insulting people. I'm not about, saying that my way is the way. I'm not about saying Michael Singer's the way. With this information and with all information that I have found on my journey, I use them as little tools, because a lot of times I'll really like something, and then there's a few things that I don't like, and I would rather refer to them as preferences. I have things that I prefer and I have things that I don't prefer. But the things that I do prefer, I just use them as little tools. I put them inside of my little metaphorical toolbox, and then when I get lost, I can use them. The main things about this book, the thing that I really liked about this book, is that Singer, he gave you a couple tools, and then he explained several of life's different conditions that come about, and it almost always the same tools were the tools that you used in order to solve the problem. The two main takeaways from the book, I could list more, and I was thinking about summarizing each chapter for you. But the thing about what I'm trying to do is I want to help you. I don't want to confuse you. One time I was in a yoga training. I took a class on Hinduism. And at the start of the class, the guy said some very profound things. And after the first day, I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. I can't believe that I took so long to take this class. This is what I've been looking for. And what it was really similar to is this class I consider, and again, I'm not I'm not trying to rain on Hinduism or anybody's party, because I'm all about freedom. And I think that people should be able to think and believe and do what they want to do as long as they're not hurting other people. But what I think that Hinduism is similar to, and it's probably just because I'm not from India, but what I think it's very similar to is jazz. In jazz, if you listen to the phrasing of the instruments, they sound like questions. They sound like questions, like I'm asking you, so what are you doing today? So if that was a musical, if it was a melody, if it was a jazz melody, it might sound like da da da. What are you doing today? Are you going to the store? Ba da da. And so in jazz, a lot of times there's no resolution. They only ask the question in a musical phrase. Da da da, diddly doo, diddly doo, diddly doo. But there's no resolution sometimes. One time I went to this concert and I couldn't wait to go see the guy. Incredible guitarist, yet he played a lot of jazz phrases, and the guys that he was playing with were incredible virtuosos. It was a 4-piece band, and all of the guys were masters, and they all kept on playing jazz phrases, and it was just a call, but it was no response. It was da-da-da, da-da-da, but at an incredibly fast speed and at a very loud volume. At the end of an hour, I was looking at my watch. I had waited 30 years to see this concert, and I couldn't wait for it to end. And I'm not saying that I can't wait to bring it back. I can't wait for Hinduism to end. But in this yoga training class that I took about Hinduism, they kept proposing question after question after question after question and giving no answers. And I like contemplating things once in a while, but there are enough things in my life that I'm confused about. I want some solutions. Maybe you feel the same. Maybe you don't. Sometimes it's fun to wonder about things, but I like solutions because I want to be making progress. I don't want to be sitting there pondering things like Plato. I don't have time for that in my day. I need solutions. I want peace now. So, that being said, instead of summarizing the whole book, since there were a lot of different facets of this book, it was it's 19 chapters long, and he covered a lot of information. But from looking at this book so closely as I have done, I derived 2 things from it that were always the same. The 2 points that Michael Singer made is that, one, the most important thing is that our hearts control energy. And if you want energy, you don't close your heart. It's that simple. When your heart's open, you have energy. When your heart is closed, you don't have energy. That simple. I'm not going to say anything else about it. If you need more information, go back and listen to the stuff again, or read his book, or listen to his audio book. I think I've done a pretty good summary of the book. The second thing that he stated is that we have to maintain, not remain, but maintain the subject-object relationship. We are awareness, and whatever we're awareness, we're the subject, and then whatever we are observing is the object. Something that I really liked that he said was, he was talking about some Indian dude in there. Now, going back to India things, the thing that he did say that was awesome is a question that you can ask yourself to maintain, I want to say remain for some reason, to maintain the subject-object relationship is a question you can ask yourself is, who is it that hears what I hear? Who is it that sees what I see? Who is it that feels what I feel? Who is it that smells what I smell? Any of those things, the senses. Who is it inside of there that does that? And when stuff happens, just maintaining. When you get angry, who is it that gets angry? When you're depressed, who is it? And the answer is always awareness is aware of these things, but these things, they're not you. They come and they go, and awareness always remains. And that's who you are, and that's who I am, and that's what everything is. Everything is awareness, and that's not some kumbaya statement. They've done tests, and on the smallest subatomic particles, quarks and stuff like that, whatever new names they've come up with, they've found that all matter has consciousness. They do tests on subatomic particles, and the particles are aware that the tests are being done. Therefore, everything is awareness.